Muscle knows no age. So whether you're 8 or 80, you can have a strong, fit body. And I believe that it's very important for us to prepare for our latter years. How many people don't do that? And their latter years, unfortunately, are spent in misery. We need to be preparing for our latter years. And one of the probably most effective ways to do that is to keep the body strong, fit. Of course, giving it lots of water and nourishing food, and we've looked at that. But what is the best form of exercise? A lot of people say to me, I don't exercise because I just don't have time. So I'm going to show you a form of exercise today that only takes 15 minutes a day. And let me tell you one other benefit I received when I began to implement an exercise program. My feet were always cold. I was always sitting in our little ensuite with my feet in the warm water, warming them up. Always cold. I started exercising, and guess what? I don't have cold feet anymore. I don't sit on the little ensuite with my feet in hot water anymore. Mind you, I go to great lengths to make sure I'm warm, absolutely. So I started to walk at 5:30, and it was pitch black outside. But what I found was once you start walking, your eyes soon adjust because it's a hassle taking a torch. I'd leave home and it was cold and dark. I'd have a scarf on, I'd have a hat on, I'd have gloves on. And when I'm coming back, this is after half an hour, well, the scarf's off, the hat's off, the gloves are being taken off. And I'd come into the house going, whoa, it's hot in here. No one else was thinking that. I have a friend, his name's Dr. Jonathan Gibbs, and he did a PhD on the effect of exercise in the cell. And he told me this. He said, when you do that in the morning, a network of capillaries is opened that equals the distance around planet Earth. Well, I can hardly get my mind around that one. So where are these capillaries? They're in your extremities. They're in your fingertips, they're in your brain, they're in your eyes. So it increases eyesight, it increases hearing, it increases every single body function. Leviticus 17:11 states that the life of the flesh is in the blood. It moves blood. How excited was I when I found only 15 minutes? Well, let's have a look at this. It's called high intensity interval training, or often called HIIT training. And the first documented evidence of the HIIT training was probably before the war. Some German trainers were training their athletes in it. The war came, a lot was lost, and then the next time it was documented was a Japanese trainer called Tabata. Now, in many gyms, they still have the Tabata protocol. And he was a trainer for his girls in the Olympic Games, and they were doing figure skating. And he discovered that if they did the HIIT training, they had an edge. So what did he do? So the high intensity, he got his girls to do that for about 20 seconds. The recovery was probably 60 seconds. And the cycle, meaning it's done for a cycle of, would be about 6. So that's 6 cycles of 20 seconds high intensity, 60 seconds recovery. He found when it came time for the Olympic Games, they had an edge. They had an edge on the other athletes. And isn't that what it's all about? Everyone that goes to the Olympic Games is the best that their country has. And sometimes they win by split seconds. So finding something that gave his girls an edge was very important. I read about the HIIT training. Probably the first book I read about it was Dr. Doug McGuff's book, Body by Science. And he's a doctor. I think he's a heart doctor. And he found out about this. So what he did was he did 30 seconds high intensity, 90 seconds recovery for a cycle of 6. And what I have found in my reading, that's probably a time that most people come at would be the very best. So what is the high intensity? It's running for your life. It's going for as hard and as fast as you can, whether that be swimming, whether that be running up hills. So what's recovery time? Well, the research shows that the best recovery time is when you're moving a bit. So what I would do is I do my stretches. I can't do much because I'm all wired up. But I would do my stretches. And because all my exercise is being done on my legs, I might do the 10 down and the 10 up and the 10 back. So the best recovery time is when you're doing it slowly. So Michael and I, we run up the hills because we're in the mountains, so there are hills and dips, and we run up the hill and then we walk down the hill. And then by the time we've walked down the hill, it's easily 90 seconds, maybe a bit more. We know we're ready to go again because our breathing. Your breathing and your heart's settle down. When you think you can go for it again, then you're ready for your next high intensity. In the Framingham Heart Study, I've quoted this study a couple of times, 30,000 people, little town over many years. They found that by the age of 50, 40% or most people had lost 40% of their lung capacity. Why is that? Because people never do what you experience when you get to the end of your 30 seconds. Those lungs are just stretched wide open. Those little bronchioles right at the end are being forced to start working. High chest breathers can find that the bottom half of their lungs can almost go into dormancy. So no wonder by the age of 50, many have lost 40% of their lung capacity. The study showed that by the age of 80, most had lost 60% of their lung capacity. Remember oxygen, the most vital element needed for life? Well, and that's where we get it, through our lungs. The more you exercise, the stronger that heart gets. And when it's strong, it doesn't have to beat much because every beat is so strong with the delivery of blood. It is said we only have so many beats per lifetime. So you can see the fitter the person, the longer the life. And I'd like to suggest the better quality of life because of what exercise does to the body. So PACE, progressive acceleration of cardiopulmonary. So there's the lungs. And it was in that book and other books where he quoted the study on the Framingham study. So you can prevent that lung capacity loss by exercising every day. And if you've lost it, you can regain it by the high intensity exercise. So progressive acceleration of cardiopulmonary exertion. You are exerting yourself. There's the PACE. It's vital that you drink water. One lady said to me, I won't be able to walk in the morning because I faint. And I said, well, do you have water? She said, no, I don't like water. Well, you got to have water. The body needs its water. But when you drink that water in the morning and then go on your walk and your body is starting to work, it needs more fuel, those little molecules of glucose are plucked and through the pathway, plucked and through the pathway. It's a wonderful process. We also looked at the fact that on a very high carbohydrate diet, the excess glucose, when the glycogen stores are full, is stored as fat. So I want to show you how this high intensity exercise program, I want to show you how it affects the cell and how it can actually reverse that whole process that we looked at earlier. So I need to tell you a few things as I give the illustration. So what I didn't tell you the other day is that this 8-step pathway is very slow. The 20-step pathway is very fast. And as we're standing here at the moment, they're feeding into each other quite nicely. But when you start running for your life, cycling for your life, rebounding for your life, swimming as fast as you can, both pathways speed up. The 20-step speeds up, the 8-step speeds up, but there's a rate-setting enzyme in there that will always keep this one faster and this one slower. So what happens now is more pyruvate is being made than can be fed into the 8-step. And so the body stores that excess pyruvate as lactic acid. You've heard of lactic acid? We've all heard of lactic acid. Too much building up, that can hurt, can't it? We've felt that. So I think one of the most amazing things about this high intensity interval training is what happens when you're in recovery. And don't we love recovery? When you're in recovery time, getting your breath back, letting your body settle down a bit, the liver converts that lactic acid back to pyruvate and feeds it into the powerhouse, which means when you're in recovery time, your cells are burning just as much fuel as when you're running for your life. Isn't that good news? That's good news, but there's other good news too, and that is it's mopping up your lactic acid. So it doesn't have an opportunity to build up in your tissues. So let's continue. So you're getting to the end of your first 30 seconds. You're plucking your glycogen stores. You're getting to the end of your second set of 30 seconds high intensity. Your glycogen stores are being depleted, but we need more fuel. And so what the body does now, it causes a release of the human growth hormone. The human growth hormone is very active when we're growing. But when we stop growing, I stopped growing at 16, that probably doesn't surprise you. My son William grew 2 inches from 19 to 22. Boys usually grow a bit longer. It goes into retirement. But when you do the high intensity exercise, it's pulled out of retirement. Let me show you what it does. What the human growth hormone does is it causes a release of hormone-sensitive lipase. Hormone-sensitive lipase is an enzyme that breaks down fat cells. Yesterday we looked at sublingual lipase. Remember that enzyme that breaks down the short chain and medium chain fatty acids in the saturated fats? We looked at pancreatic lipase that breaks down the long chain fatty acids. We're looking at another lipase now, and that is hormone-sensitive lipase that's released to break down your fuel stores. Isn't that what fat is? It's the most amazing fuel depot in the human body. But how many people are carrying a lot of weight? They're actually starving in the land of plenty. They can't access their fuel supplies. They're always tired. How do we access it? This is how we access it, causing a release of the human growth hormone. So hormone-sensitive lipase is activated, and hormone-sensitive lipase, as it is activated, it switches over to burning fat. It becomes a fat burner. So one of the reasons why when the human growth hormone's released, the body starts burning fat as fuel is because of something we looked at yesterday. Remember glucose? Glucose burns in the body at 4 calories per gram. Remember fat? Fat burns in the body as 9 calories per gram. Now you'll find that information in every weight loss book in psychedelic colours as to the reason why if you want to lose weight you shouldn't eat fat. But they don't understand what a calorie is. You know what a calorie is? It's a unit of energy. So if you want a high energy food, what do you eat? Fat. You see, it's a misconception. The human growth hormone also increases the body's ability to process protein. The human growth hormone also increases the circulation of the blood to the skin. Now the effect of this is it slows down aging. No wonder the movie stars pay $1,000 a week for this human growth hormone, because their profession is dependent on them looking good, and you can see this helps you look good. Well, I'm offering it to you cut price today. 15 minutes high intensity interval training a day will cause a release of that human growth hormone, and that human growth hormone will remain active for 24 hours. People ask me, how often do you exercise? I say daily. Daily. Daily, because I want that human growth hormone. But I'd like to show you one of the most powerful, well, it is acknowledged to be the most powerful form of exercise there is. Everyone can do this one, and it's called rebounding. Now, why is the rebounder, or the little minute trampoline, such a powerful form of exercise? Strength comes from one activity and one activity alone, and that is defying gravity. Isn't that what you're doing on the push-ups? You're defying gravity. Have a look at a baby. I've had 6 babies, and I know within a couple of days, what are they trying to do? Put their heads up. They're trying to put their head up. In fact, you have to be careful because they put their head up and then they might bang it on your collarbone. And then it's not long when you put them on the floor, they start to roll. Then they start to get up on their hands and knees. And then it's not long after that, they're trying to pull themselves up. They're constantly defying gravity, aren't they? It is gravity that causes strength. And then you put them in the little cot and they start jumping, jumping in the cot. I've come to the conclusion that people age because they stop jumping. What's the old saying? We should jump for joy. So why is the rebounder so powerful? Well, three forces come together with the rebounding, because I always want to know why. 3 forces come together. One force is defying gravity. So defying gravity is one of the forces. There's another force that comes to play, and that is acceleration. So when you're leaping off the mat up into the air, you're accelerating. And then just as you get to the top of your jump, you experience deceleration. So acceleration and deceleration. You know acceleration when you're in the plane. I think my favourite time in the plane is when they take off. We go so fast and watch that land go away from you. So there's your acceleration. Deceleration is when you've landed and they put the brakes on and you're flattened against the seat. Einstein says that these 3 forces have the same effect on the body. There is not a cell in the body that is not affected by these 3 forces, and that's what makes it such a powerful form of exercise, because constantly as you're jumping like this, the cells they're being challenged, but challenging the cells strengthens the cells. Did you know you have a second heart? It's your calf muscle. Do you ever wonder how the blood gets back to the heart? You see, your arterial system is the blood coming away from the heart, and your venous system is the blood coming back to the heart. It is your calf muscles. And I think you'll agree with me, when you've been on the rebounder, those calf muscles, they're constantly working, so your second heart is getting those blood back. That's why rebounding is so effective for varicose veins. You don't get varicose arteries, do you? You get varicose veins. It's that venous system that's affected. And that's why in the plane they tell you to move your foot, don't you? Because when you move your foot, you're moving your calf muscle. You only have to rebound for 1 minute in the morning to get that lymphatic system activated for the whole day. And once that lymphatic system is activated, every movement you make, just scratching your head, turning around, it's keeping the movement going. So this, again, is called the health balance. If you can't do this, you're a little unstable, just find a post to hold on to, or you can get I think there's another rebounder downstairs that has a frame, and you can hold on to that frame. I like not to, because I don't want to become dependent on the frame. But if it's too hard for you, by all means, start with the frame. See, even doing this health bounce, I can feel my second heart, my calf muscles strengthening. Some people say, I'm not going to get on the rebounder because I'm out of balance. Well, guess how you get into balance? By rebounding. If you're not used to this, at first you might be a little unstable, but the more you do it, you will notice you will get your balance. Your balance is set by the bottom of your feet and by the fine mechanisms in your ear. And so rebounding resets those fine mechanisms in your ear and resets the soles of your feet. And you might say, well, Barbara, most of your work is being done with your legs. What about your upper body? it's all affected, but let me show you how you can strengthen your biceps. So you jump with your palms down. As you jump, that strengthens the bicep muscle. Yes, you can do your triceps too, and that's where you put your palm up and you jump with your palm up, and that strengthens your tricep muscles. And often I will twist as I do it, so I twist like this, and that helps with the spine. And so when my arms get tired out there, then I will do that. But I'll often do 10 biceps, 10 triceps. You can also strengthen your eyesight. How do you strengthen your eyesight? Now, I'm not doing much and I'm fairly fit, but can you see in my breath? So it doesn't seem like you're hardly doing anything, but it has a powerful effect on the body. So how do you strengthen your eyesight? So you can also just do this. Anyone can do that, where you're not even jumping, but you're having an effect. How do you strengthen your eyesight? So right now, looking out that door there, I will focus on that tree. I'll focus my eyes on the leaves of the tree, and so when I'm doing it, the tree is standing still, but the big trees in the background are jumping, and that lamp's jumping and that lamp's jumping. So what I'll do now, after 10 jumps, I'll focus on that lamp, and I'll keep that lamp still, and the leaves that were still before are now jumping in the peripheral. Can you see what you do? You keep changing your focus, and that strengthens your eyesight. Now, I wear glasses early morning for fine reading. Since I've been doing the changing of the focus, my eyesight has improved. I was just about to go to 250 magnification, but I'm finding that with the changing of the focus on the rebounding, I've been able to keep it just the 2. So it can strengthen your eyesight.